Before the story starts, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
It was a quiet morning. The sun was soft, the sky was clear, and the road was empty. Nothing felt wrong. A man named Daniel drove slowly on the same road he had used for years. He liked calm mornings. No noise. No stress. Just him, his car, and the long road ahead. Daniel was not a loud person. He did not like problems. He believed that if you stayed quiet, trouble would stay away. But that morning, trouble was waiting. As Daniel turned the corner, he saw something strange. A woman was standing in the middle of the road. She had her arms crossed. Her face was tight. Her eyes were sharp. She looked angry, like she was waiting for someone. Daniel slowed his car. At first, he thought she needed help. He stopped the car and opened his window. Before he could speak, the woman raised her hand. "Stop," she said loudly. Her voice was strong. Not kind. Not polite. Daniel looked confused. "Yes?" he asked calmly. The woman walked closer to the car. "You cannot drive here," she said. Daniel blinked. "I drive here every day," he replied. "This is the road to my property." The woman laughed. "No," she said. "This road belongs to the HOA." Daniel stayed calm. "I am sorry," he said slowly. "But I am not part of your HOA." The woman's face changed. Her smile disappeared. "What did you say?" she asked. Daniel repeated himself. "I said I am not in your HOA." That was the moment everything changed. The woman stepped back like she had been insulted. "That is impossible," she said. "Everyone here follows HOA rules." Daniel shook his head. "I live nearby, but not inside the HOA," he explained. "I just use this road." The woman pointed at a sign near the entrance. "See that?" she shouted. "HOA community. Private property." Daniel looked at the sign. He had seen it many times before. "I have seen that sign," he said. "But this road is not owned by the HOA." The woman's eyes widened. "How dare you?" she said loudly. "You think you are special?" Daniel stayed quiet. He did not want to fight. "I am just telling the truth," he said. The woman took out her phone. "I am the HOA board member here," she said. "And you are breaking HOA rules." Daniel sighed softly. "I am not breaking any rules," he replied. "I am not under your HOA." The woman stepped even closer. "You must follow HOA rules if you use this road," she said. Daniel shook his head again. "That is not how it works," he said calmly. Now people started to notice. A man opened his window from a nearby house. A woman walked outside with her coffee. Someone else stood on their porch. They all watched. The woman raised her voice. "You cannot park here. You cannot drive here. You cannot use this road." Daniel looked around. Everyone was staring at him. Still, he stayed calm. "I have legal access," he said. The woman laughed loudly. "Oh really?" she said. "Show me." Daniel did not argue. He did not shout. He simply said one sentence. "I am not in your HOA." That sentence made the woman angry. Her face turned red. "You are lying," she shouted. "Everyone here belongs to the HOA." Daniel stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said softly, "No. I don't." The woman pointed at him. "You are trespassing," she said. "I can call the police right now." Daniel nodded. "You can," he said. That answer surprised her. She expected fear. She expected him to apologize. But Daniel looked relaxed. That made her more angry. "You think you are smart?" she said. "You think you can break rules?" Daniel looked straight at her. "I am not breaking rules," he replied. "I am just using my road." "My road?" she laughed. "This is HOA property." Daniel said nothing. He did not want to explain everything. "Not yet." The woman waved her phone in the air. "I will teach you a lesson," she said. "I am calling the cops." She turned her back and started dialing. Daniel stayed in his car. He looked around. More neighbors came outside. Some whispered. Some recorded on their phones. Some nodded at the HOA woman. They believed her. She was loud. She was confident. She was part of the HOA. Daniel was quiet. But quiet does not mean weak. The woman spoke loudly on the phone. "Yes, hello? There is a man trespassing on HOA property. He refuses to follow HOA rules." She smiled while talking. She believed she had already won. She ended the call and looked at Daniel. "Police are coming," she said proudly. "You will regret this." Daniel nodded slowly. "That's fine," he said. His calm voice confused her. Most people would panic. He did not. The woman crossed her arms again. "You should leave now," she said. "Before things get worse." Daniel shook his head. "I will wait," he replied. The woman laughed. "You are very brave," she said. "Or very stupid." Daniel did not answer. Minutes passed. The street was silent. Everyone waited. In the distance, a siren could be heard. The woman smiled. She looked at the neighbors. "See," she said. "That's what happens when you break HOA rules." Daniel looked forward. The siren got closer. The police car turned the corner. The woman straightened her back. Her moment had come. Daniel took a deep breath. He knew something important. Something the HOA did not know. Something that would change everything. The police car stopped. The officer stepped out. And before anyone could speak, the woman pointed at Daniel and shouted, "That's him." Daniel stayed calm. Because he knew. This was only the beginning. The police siren went silent. That silence felt heavy. Everyone on the street stopped moving. No one talked. No one smiled. The police car was now parked right behind Daniel's car. Two officers stepped out slowly. They did not look angry. They did not look rushed. They looked confused. The HOA woman, Karen, walked fast toward them. She did not wait. She did not let the officers speak. She pointed at Daniel like he was a criminal. "That's him," she said loudly. "He is trespassing on HOA property." One officer raised his hand. "Ma'am, please slow down," he said. Karen ignored him. "He refuses to follow HOA rules," she continued. "He says he is not part of our HOA." The second officer looked at Daniel. Daniel stayed inside his car. Hands on the wheel. Calm face. The officer walked closer. "Sir," the officer said. "Can you step out of the vehicle?" Daniel nodded. "Of course," he said politely. He stepped out slowly. No anger. No fear. Karen crossed her arms. She looked proud. She believed this was her victory moment. The officer asked Daniel a simple question. "Sir, do you live in this community?" Daniel shook his head. "No," he said. "I live next to it." Karen laughed loudly. "See," she said. "He admits it." The officer raised his hand again. "Ma'am, please," he said calmly. Then he looked at Daniel. "So why are you using this road?" the officer asked. Daniel answered honestly. "This road leads to my property," he said. Karen stepped forward. "That is impossible," she said. This road belongs to the HOA. The officer looked at the road. Then at the sign. Then back at Daniel. Sir, the officer said. Are you part of the HOA? Daniel looked straight at him. No, he said clearly. I am not. Karen smiled again. There, she said. You heard him. The officer did not react. He asked another question. Sir, do you have permission to use this road? Daniel nodded. Yes, he said. Karen almost shouted. Permission from who? She asked. Daniel answered calmly. Myself. That sentence confused everyone. The neighbors started whispering again. What does he mean? Is he joking? He looks serious. Karen laughed. This is crazy, she said. He thinks he owns the road. Daniel stayed quiet. The officer looked at him carefully. Sir, the officer said slowly. Can you explain what you mean? Daniel took a deep breath. I am not trespassing, he said. This road is not HOA property. Karen's face changed. That is a lie, she snapped. Our HOA controls everything here. The officer turned to Karen. Ma'am, he asked. Do you have documents that show the HOA owns this road? Karen froze for half a second. Then she smiled again. Of course, she said. It's common knowledge. The officer nodded. I understand, he said. But we need official proof. Karen looked surprised. Well, the HOA office has it, she said. The officer looked back at Daniel. Sir, he said. Do you have any proof of your claim? Daniel nodded. Yes, he replied. Karen laughed again. Oh please, she said. He is bluffing. Daniel reached into his pocket. He took out his phone. The neighbors leaned closer. Some lifted their phones to record. Daniel unlocked his phone calmly. He did not rush. He opened a folder. The officer watched closely. What is that? The officer asked. Land records, Daniel replied. Karen's smile slowly faded. The officer leaned closer to see the screen. Daniel showed him a map. Lines. Numbers. Names. The officer frowned slightly. Karen stepped forward. You cannot trust that, she said quickly. Anyone can fake things on a phone. The officer raised his hand. Ma'am, he said. Please let me do my job. Karen stepped back, angry. The officer studied the phone again. This shows ownership, the officer said. Daniel nodded. Yes, he replied. I bought this land years ago. The officer looked surprised. This includes the road? He asked. Daniel answered softly. Yes. The street went quiet. Karen laughed nervously. That's impossible, she said. Our HOA has used this road for years. Daniel looked at her. I know, he said. The officer straightened up. Sir, he said. Are you saying the HOA does not own this road? Yes, Daniel replied. They never did. Karen shook her head. No, she said. That cannot be true. The officer turned to Karen again. Ma'am, he asked. Has the HOA ever shown you documents for this road? Karen opened her mouth. Then closed it. Well, no, she said. But everyone knows it's ours. The officer sighed. That is not how ownership works, he said. The neighbors looked confused. Some looked worried. Karen's voice became sharp. He is lying, she said. He is trying to scare us. Daniel stayed silent. He let the truth speak. The officer handed the phone to the second officer. They both looked at it carefully. They whispered to each other. Karen's hands started shaking. She did not notice. The officer looked up. "Sir," he said to Daniel, "do you mind if we verify this?" "Not at all," Daniel replied. Karen stepped forward again. "This is a waste of time," she said. "He should be arrested." The officer looked at her seriously. "Ma'am," he said, "false reports are serious." Karen stopped talking. The neighbors gasped. The officer looked back at Daniel. "One more question," he said. Daniel nodded. The officer asked, "If this road is yours, how much of it do you own?" Daniel paused. Then he answered calmly, "All of it." That single sentence changed everything. Karen's face went pale. The neighbors froze. The officers looked at each other. Because if Daniel was telling the truth, then the HOA had a very big problem. No one spoke. Not the neighbors. Not the HOA woman. Not even the police. The air felt heavy. Daniel stood near his car, quiet and calm. The officers stood a few steps away, looking at the phone again. The HOA woman, Karen, tried to smile. But her smile was weak now. "This is a misunderstanding," she said. "HOA papers are at the office." The officer looked up. "Ma'am," he said, "we will need official proof." Karen waved her hand. "You don't understand," she said. "This man is just trying to confuse everyone." Daniel said nothing. He did not need to speak. The first officer zoomed in on the screen. "This document has a county stamp," he said quietly. The second officer nodded. "And a date," he added. Karen's eyes widened. "That means nothing," she said quickly. "Anyone can fake things." The officer looked at her. "These are not easy to fake," he replied. The neighbors leaned closer. Some whispered, "Is that real? Did the HOA lie? I never saw papers before." Karen felt the attention. She raised her voice. "Our HOA controls this entire area," she shouted. "We have rules. We have power." Daniel finally spoke. "Power does not mean ownership," he said calmly. Karen turned to him. "You think you are better than us?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. "No," he said. "I just know what I own." The officer asked Daniel a question. "Sir," he said, "did you ever give the HOA permission to use this road?" Daniel paused. "No," he answered. Karen laughed loudly. "See," she said. "He admits it." The officer looked confused. "That is not what I meant," he said. He turned back to Daniel. "So the HOA has been using this road without permission?" he asked. "Yes," Daniel replied. That word hit hard. Without permission. The neighbors stopped smiling. Some looked angry. Some looked scared. Karen stepped back. "That's not true," she said. "We've used this road for years." Daniel nodded. "I know," he said. "I never stopped you." Karen shouted. "Then it's ours." The officer shook his head. "That is not how the law works," he said. The second officer looked at Daniel again. "Sir," he said, "why didn't you say anything before?" Daniel answered honestly. "I didn't want trouble," he said. "I thought peace was better." Karen rolled her eyes. "This is ridiculous," she said. "He's lying to escape punishment." The officer looked serious now. "Ma'am," he said, "you called us for trespassing." "Yes," Karen replied. "And if this road is not HOA property," the officer continued, "then the report may be false." Karen froze. The word false scared her. "That's not fair," she said softly. The officer turned back to Daniel. "Sir," he said, "do you have printed documents?" Daniel nodded. Yes, he said. They are in my car. Karen's heart started racing. Daniel opened his car door. Slowly. Carefully. He took out a brown envelope. The neighbors leaned in closer. Phones were raised higher. Karen whispered, "This can't be real." Daniel handed the envelope to the officer. The officer opened it. Inside were papers. Old papers. Stamped papers. Official papers. The officer read silently. The second officer read over his shoulder. Karen stepped forward. "You can't trust him," she said. "He planned this." The officer held up his hand. "Please," he said. Minutes passed. Finally, the officer looked up. "These documents show clear ownership," he said. Karen shook her head. "No," she whispered. The officer continued. "This road was never transferred to the HOA." The neighbors gasped. Someone said quietly, "So the HOA never owned it?" Karen turned around. "Stop listening to him," she yelled. "He's trying to turn you against us." Daniel stayed quiet. The officer asked another question. "Sir," he said to Daniel, "how much land do you own here?" Daniel answered calmly, "All access roads." The street went silent again. Karen felt dizzy. "All?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "Yes." The officer looked shocked. "That includes the main entrance?" he asked. "Yes," Daniel replied. Karen's voice cracked. "That road is how we enter," she said. Daniel looked at her. "I know," he said. The officer took a deep breath. "Ma'am," he said to Karen, "this changes everything." Karen stepped back. "This is impossible," she said. The neighbors started talking loudly now. "So HOA lied to us? They charged us fees for nothing? They never owned the roads?" Karen shouted. "Enough," she said. "This meeting is over." The officer shook his head. "No," he said. "This is just beginning." Daniel looked at the road. He had stayed quiet for years. But now, everyone knew the truth. And the truth was dangerous. Because if Daniel owned the roads, he also controlled the future of the HOA. The quiet street was gone. Now, the street was loud. Voices came from every side. Neighbors talked over each other. Phones were held high. Faces were full of shock. Daniel stood in the middle of it all. He did not shout. He did not smile. He just waited. The HOA woman, Karen, looked around. For the first time that day, people were not standing with her. A man from one house spoke first. "Is this true?" he asked loudly. "Did the HOA never own the roads?" Karen turned to him. "This is not the time," she snapped. "Go back inside." But the man did not move. "We pay HOA fees," he said. "You told us these roads were ours." Another woman stepped forward. "You fined me last year," she said, "for parking wrong on this road." Karen's face tightened. "That was HOA policy," she replied. The police officer stepped forward. "Ma'am," he said, "we need facts, not policy." Karen looked angry now. "This man is confusing everyone," she said. "He planned this." Daniel finally spoke again. "I never planned anything," he said calmly. "I just answered your call." The neighbors turned toward him. "What do you mean?" someone asked. Daniel explained slowly. "She stopped me on this road," he said. "She said I was breaking HOA rules." Karen interrupted. "Because you were." Daniel looked at her. "I am not in your HOA," he said. "I never agreed to your rules." The officer nodded. That part is important, he said. Karen crossed her arms. He still used our road, she said. The officer shook his head. It appears this is not your road, he replied. The words hit Karen hard. This is wrong, she said loudly. We've controlled this area for years. A neighbor spoke from the back. Controlled or owned? He asked. Silence. Karen did not answer. The officer turned to Daniel again. Sir, he said. Did the HOA ever pay you to use this road? Daniel shook his head. No, he said. Did they ever ask permission? The officer asked. No, Daniel replied again. The crowd murmured. So they used it for free? All these years? And still charged us fees? Karen raised her voice. Enough, she shouted. This is an HOA matter. The officer looked serious. No, he said. This is now a legal matter. Karen's hands shook. She looked at Daniel. You could have said something earlier, she said. You waited. Daniel answered calmly. I waited for peace, he said. Not for lies. That line changed the mood. Some neighbors nodded. One man stepped closer to Daniel. So you own the road? He asked. Yes, Daniel replied. All of it? The man asked. Yes, Daniel said again. The man looked shocked. Then HOA fines were illegal, he said. Karen snapped. No, she shouted. You were twisting things. A woman raised her phone higher. I have videos, she said. HOA threatened us all the time. Karen's voice cracked. Put that away, she said. The officer turned to Karen. Ma'am, he said. Who approved the fines? Karen hesitated. The board, she said quietly. The officer nodded. We will need board names, he said. Karen stepped back. This is harassment, she said. The officer did not move. No, he replied. This is investigation. The neighbors started getting angry now. You lied to us. You scared us with fines. You never own anything. Karen covered her ears. Stop, she shouted. Daniel looked at the road again. This road had been silent for years. Now it was speaking. The officer looked at Daniel. Sir, he said. You understand you have legal control here. Daniel nodded. Yes, he said. Are you planning to block access? The officer asked. The neighbors froze. Karen looked scared. Daniel paused. He looked at the homes. He looked at the people. Then he spoke. I have not decided, he said. That answer scared everyone more than a yes. Karen rushed forward. You can't do that, she shouted. We need these roads. Daniel looked at her calmly. You should have thought about that, he said. Before calling the police. The neighbors felt the truth now. HOA power was fading. Daniel's power was rising. And everyone knew. This story was far from over. The road had never felt this small. Cars were stopped. People were standing close. No one knew what to say next. Daniel broke the silence. He did not raise his voice. He did not threaten anyone. He simply spoke the truth. I own the roads, he said. Those 4 words hit harder than shouting. The HOA woman, Karen, shook her head. No, she said quietly. You are lying. Daniel looked at her. I am not, he replied. The police officer stepped forward. Ma'am, he said. The documents are clear. Karen laughed nervously. This is crazy, she said. Our HOA has been in charge for years. The officer answered calmly. Being in charge is not the same as owning, he said. The neighbors felt it now. The balance had changed. A man from the crowd spoke. If he owns the roads, he asked. Can he block us? The street went silent again. Daniel looked at the man. Yes, he said. Legally, I can. Karen gasped. You wouldn't, she said. Daniel did not answer right away. He looked around. He saw fear. He saw anger. He saw confusion. I never wanted control, Daniel said slowly. I wanted peace. Karen stepped forward. You stayed silent, she accused. You let us believe the HOA owned everything. Daniel shook his head. I never told that lie, he replied. The officer nodded. Sir is correct, he said. Assumptions are not ownership. Karen's voice cracked. We maintain these roads, she said. We paid for repairs. Daniel nodded. I know, he said. I never stopped you. That makes them ours, Karen argued. The officer shook his head again. No, he said. That does not transfer ownership. The neighbors started whispering again. So HOA charged us illegally? We pay for nothing? Can we sue them? Karen raised her voice. This is turning into chaos, she shouted. The officer looked at her seriously. Ma'am, he said. You created this situation. Karen froze. Daniel looked at the officer. I don't want trouble, he said. I just want respect. The officer nodded. That is reasonable, he replied. Karen suddenly changed her tone. Let's talk calmly, she said. We can fix this. The neighbors noticed. Her power voice was gone. Daniel crossed his arms. I am listening, he said. Karen took a breath. What do you want? She asked. Daniel paused. This was the moment. Everyone waited. I want the HOA to stop harassing people, Daniel said. No more threats. No more fake rules. Karen swallowed. And the roads? She asked. Daniel looked at her. The HOA must admit the truth, he said. In public. Karen shook her head. That would destroy us, she whispered. Daniel answered calmly. You already did that, he said. The officer watched carefully. This sounds like a civil matter now, he said. Karen looked desperate. We can make an agreement, she said quickly. Access rights. Maintenance. Daniel nodded. That is possible, he said. The neighbors felt hope. But Karen made one mistake. She pointed at Daniel. This is your fault, she said. Daniel's face changed. Not angry. Disappointed. I gave you a chance, he said. Karen realized it too late. The officer spoke. Ma'am, he said. You may want legal advice. Karen stepped back. The neighbors started turning away from her. They moved closer to Daniel. One woman said softly, Thank you for telling the truth. Daniel nodded. I should have spoken earlier, he said. But today was forced. The road felt different now. It was no longer just pavement. It was power. And Daniel held it. But what he would do next would decide everything. The HOA office lights turned on fast. Too fast. Board members came out of their homes one by one. Some were on phones. Some looked scared. Some avoided eye contact. Karen was no longer leading. She was following. Daniel stood near the road sign. Quiet. Still. But now everyone watched him. One HOA board member walked up quickly. Let's talk, he said. There is no need for drama. The police officer stepped between them. Sir, he said. This conversation stays calm. The board member nodded. We just want to fix this, he said. Karen tried to speak. This man caused. Enough, the board member said sharply. That single word shocked her. She had never been silenced before. Daniel looked at the board member. You called the police, Daniel said calmly. You accused me. The board member sighed. That was a mistake, he said. Karen's eyes widened. A mistake? She asked. Yes, he replied. A big one. The officer spoke again. For the record, he said. This call was unnecessary. Karen looked at the ground. The neighbors watched closely. The board member turned to Daniel. What do you want to make this right? He asked. Daniel did not answer quickly. He looked at the people. He looked at the homes. He looked at the road. I want respect, Daniel said finally. Not fear. The board member nodded. That is fair, he said. Karen shook her head. You're giving him power, she whispered. You lost it, the board member replied. The officer crossed his arms. Sir, he said to Daniel. You are within your rights. The neighbors murmured. That sentence meant everything. Karen panicked. This HOA will collapse, she said loudly. Daniel answered softly. Then it should, he said. If it is built on lies. The board member swallowed hard. We can remove fines, he said. We can apologize. Daniel nodded. Publicly, he said. Karen gasped. No, she said. You can't do that to me. The board member looked at her. You did this, he said. The officer stepped closer to Karen. Ma'am, he said. False reports can lead to charges. Karen froze. Her hands shook. She looked around. No one defended her. Not the board. Not the neighbors. Daniel spoke again. I also want one more thing, he said. Everyone leaned in. Karen's breath stopped. The HOA will step down from controlling these roads, Daniel said. Forever. The board member nodded slowly. That can be done, he said. Karen shouted. You're destroying everything. Daniel looked at her. No, he said. I'm ending abuse. The neighbors clapped softly. The officer looked satisfied. This matter is resolved, he said. Karen felt the ground drop. She had lost. The road was silent again. But this silence felt different. It felt final. Daniel walked back to his car. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. He simply left. Because justice did not need noise. The street was quiet again. Not the quiet of the morning. Not the calm Daniel had felt before. This was different. It was the quiet of people realizing the truth. Of a power that had shifted. Daniel walked slowly down the road. Neighbors watched him. Some whispered. Finally, someone brave enough. Others just stared. Karen stood near the HOA sign. Her face pale, her arms crossed. For the first time, she looked small. Daniel stopped at the middle of the road. He looked at Karen. He looked at the board members. He looked at the neighbors. He did not shout. He did not gloat. He spoke softly. But everyone listened. I do not want revenge, he said. I do not want money. I do not want fees. I want peace. I want respect. And I want honesty. Karen opened her mouth. Then closed it. Her words had no weight now. The board members shifted nervously. Daniel continued. You have threatened people. You lied about ownership. You used fear as power. That ends today. A murmur went through the crowd. Neighbors nodded quietly. Karen finally spoke, trembling. And what do you want us to do? Daniel looked at her directly. Not angry. Not cruel. Just firm. I want a public apology. Karen, you are removed from the HOA board. And everyone must admit the truth. No more lies. No more threats. The board members exchanged glances. They knew there was no choice. Karen's face turned red. Then pale. Then angry. But she stayed silent. One board member stepped forward. Yes, he said. We will comply. Public apology. Board changes. Access rights respected. Daniel nodded. He looked at the neighbors. They are done, he said. And you are safe now. The police officer stepped up. Sir, he said. You handled this calmly. Legally. With respect. Daniel gave a small nod. He had stayed quiet for years. But now, the truth had spoken louder than fear. Karen turned and walked away. She did not argue. She did not shout. Her power was gone. The neighbors cheered quietly. Some clapped. Some hugged each other. Some just stood, staring at Daniel. Daniel looked down the road. This road had been his all along. Yet he never abused that power. He had waited. He had stayed calm. He had let the truth come out. And now, justice had come, silently. He walked to his car. Opened the door. The sun was setting. The road glowed gold in the evening light. Before he drove away, he looked back one last time. No anger. No revenge. Just peace. Because sometimes, the quietest person holds the most power. And sometimes, justice does not shout. It walks silently. The HOA had learned a lesson. The neighbors had learned a lesson. And Daniel. He just drove home, calm as the morning he had started with. The road was his. And this time, everyone knew it.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it.